the open road. For many, it's a symbol of freedom, adventure, a chance to leave the familiar behind and chase the horizon. But for others, these ribbons of asphalt cutting through the vast, lonely landscapes of our world have been the backdrop for their worst nightmares. What happens when the journey takes a dark turn, when the person in the rearview mirror isn't just another traveler? Tonight, we're driving down some of the most chilling and disturbing true highway horror stories. These are the tales that will make you think twice before you get behind the wheel after dark. The stories that prove that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones who share the road with us. So buckle up and stay alert. You're about to hear 3 stories of true crime on the road that are more terrifying than any fiction. Welcome back. The stories we are about to share are all true. They are reminders that the world can be a dangerous place, and sometimes that danger is waiting just around the next bend. Our first story takes us to a stretch of road in British Columbia, Canada, a place that has earned a name as heartbreaking as the stories it holds: the Highway of Tears. Highway 16 runs for nearly 500 miles through some of the most rugged and isolated terrain in North America. For the indigenous communities that dot this landscape, it is a vital lifeline. But since the 1970s, it has also been the setting for a series of disappearances and murders, primarily of young indigenous women. The exact number of victims is debated, with official RCMP lists citing 18, but indigenous organizations believe the true number is closer to 50. These are not just statistics. They are daughters, sisters, and mothers whose journeys ended in violence and mystery. One of the earliest documented cases is that of Gloria Moody, a 26-year-old mother of 2 from the Squaw First Nation. In October 1969, she was last seen leaving a pub in Williams Lake. Her body was found 10 days later in a cattle field just off the highway. She had been sexually assaulted and murdered. Her case, like so many others that would follow, remains unsolved. The years that followed saw a horrifying pattern emerge. Young women, often hitchhiking because of a lack of public transportation, would vanish without a trace. Monica Ignas, just 14 years old, disappeared in December 1974 while walking home along the highway. Her body was found months later. In 1981, 22-year-old and aspiring artist disappeared while hitchhiking to a job interview. Her body was found 2 weeks later near a gravel pit off the highway. The list goes on, each name a story cut short, a family left with a lifetime of questions. The vastness of the landscape, the transient nature of the highway, and the systemic issues facing indigenous communities have all contributed to the difficulties in solving these cases. For decades, the families of the missing and murdered have fought for justice, for answers, for their loved ones to be more than just another name on a list of unsolved highway mysteries. The Highway of Tears is a stark and tragic reminder of the dangers that can lurk on the open road, and the haunting reality that for some, the journey home is one they never complete. Our next story takes us to the heartland of America, to a series of crimes that baffled law enforcement and terrorized communities along one of the country's busiest thoroughfares. In the spring of 1992, a phantom killer began a deadly spree along Interstate 70, a trail of terror that would leave 6 people dead in just 29 days. It began on April 8th in Indianapolis, Indiana. Robin Fuldauer, a 26-year-old employee at a Payless shoe source, was found shot in the back of the head in the store's back room. Just 3 days later, and nearly 200 miles away in Wichita, Kansas, the same chilling scenario played out. Patricia Magaziner, 32, and Patricia Smith, 23, were found murdered in a similar manner at the La Bride d'Elegance bridal shop. The killer was meticulous, leaving behind few clues. The only consistent evidence was the 22 caliber shell casings found at each scene. The reign of terror continued. In Terre Haute, Indiana, Michael McCown, a 40-year-old working at a ceramics store, was shot and killed. Then, in St. Charles, Missouri, 42-year-old Nancy Kitzmiller was murdered at a boot store. The final known victim was 37-year-old Sarah Blessing, who was killed at an electronics store in Raytown, Missouri. All the victims were shot execution style, and the crimes all occurred in small stores located in strip malls just off of I-70. Law enforcement from multiple states formed a task force, and a composite sketch of the suspect was released. He was described as a white male in his late 20s or early 30s with lazy, drooping eyelids. Despite a massive investigation and thousands of tips, the I-70 killer seemed to vanish as quickly as he had appeared. The short time frame of the murders and the vast distance covered suggest a killer who was comfortable on the road, someone who could blend in with the millions of travelers on the interstate. This case remains a chilling piece of true crime on the road, a puzzle with a missing piece that has haunted investigators and the victims' families for decades. The I-70 killer is a ghost who drove into the heart of America, committed a series of brutal murders, and then simply drove away, leaving a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. For our final story, we travel to Springfield, Missouri, and to a case that began on the night of high school graduation. It's a story that involves a late-night decision to hit the road, a decision that led to one of the most baffling and enduring mysteries in American history: the disappearance of the Springfield Three. On the night of June 6, 1992, recent high school graduate Susie Streeter and her friend Stacy McCall had been celebrating with classmates. After a night of parties, they decided to head back to Susie's house, where her mother, Cheryl Levitt, would be waiting. Sometime in the early morning hours of June 7th, the two young women arrived at the home on East Belmar Street, and then they vanished. When friends and family went to the house later that day, they found an eerie scene. The front door was unlocked. The television was on. Cheryl's car was in the driveway, as were Susie's and Stacy's. All of their personal belongings, their purses, their keys, their cigarettes were still inside the house. The only thing out of place was a broken porch-like globe. There was no sign of a struggle, no ransom note, nothing to suggest what had happened. It was as if the three women had simply been erased from existence. The investigation into the disappearance of the Springfield Three quickly became a massive undertaking. Police and volunteers scoured the surrounding area, but found no trace of the women. The case generated thousands of tips, but each one led to a dead end. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged. Some believe they were abducted by a stalker. Others suspect a connection to local drug activity. There have been persons of interest, but no one has ever been charged. One of the most persistent theories involves a road trip gone horribly wrong. It's a chilling example of how a seemingly safe place, a suburban home, can become the starting point for a terrifying journey into the unknown. The case of the Springfield Three is a haunting reminder that sometimes the most frightening stories are the ones without an ending. It remains one of the most prominent unsolved highway mysteries in the nation, a silent testament to three lives interrupted, and a community left forever wondering what happened on that quiet street on a warm summer night. The stories of the Highway of Tears, the I-70 killer, and the Springfield Three are more than just campfire tales. They are the true and tragic accounts of lives cut short, of families left in limbo, and of mysteries that endure. They remind us to be aware of our surroundings, to be cautious on the open road, and to never take our safety for granted. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark side of the highway. If you found this video compelling, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into the unknown. Stay safe out there